Alrighty, good evening. If you're watching it from right now, good evening, good afternoon, good morning, wherever you're watching us. Glad to be on board. Special Wednesday night edition of Superkickin with Steven. We got Elimination Chamber happening at noon on Saturday, so we thought it'd probably be best to give us a little more time to play with just in case. And there's big news happening this week, so me and Greg decided that we need to talk that up today. So, Greg, how in the world are you doing? Sorry, your Chargers will not be the first from LA to win the Super Bowl title, but yeah. So there we go.
Yeah, it's a bummer. If we can't be the first, but we can be the best. So I'll go with
uh,
that. Happy for a guy like Aaron Donald, who's a monster, and he has every award in the book except for a Super Bowl ring. So hats off to him. I always loved that guy, and it is what it is. It was a decent Super Bowl. Not the high drama we've had the rest of the whole playoffs pretty much up to now, but. It was a decent game, and even though the halftime show was getting more love than the actual game itself, it was still pretty good. But it'll be better next year when the Chargers win.
that tends to I feel like sometimes, yeah, the halftime show does outperform. Now, the only thing I kept hearing with the halftime show, Greg, and I don't know if you maybe caught this, but there was no wow factor. I personally, I'll be honest, Greg, I turned it off and just turned it back on when the game started back up. I don't know what I think people probably had it built up higher, so maybe that's why they thought, there was no like, yes, you had, and it seemed like every performer was kind of out there on their own. Was there much collaboration between them? Is maybe that what maybe that's what people were meaning? Like there wasn't that you know it was still good. I saw a lot of good stuff for it, like you said, but at the same time, you also saw some of there was that missing that little bit of extra maybe. So I don't know because I didn't watch it. So what did you think,
Um,
Greg?
well, first I'm going to qualify it by going. I am the biggest metalhead you're going to find on the planet.
Yeah.
Um, that is the house I live in.
Hmm.
Uh, I'm not a rap fan at all. Uh, Set aside a very small handful of artists, and
Yeah.
one of them performed that night with Eminem.
Hmm.
As a writer, I have massive respect for his ability to write brilliant lyrics.
Hmm.
Um, so that goes across all platforms. If you can write great lyrics, then you got my respect. And he's known in the rap world as the GOAT.
Yeah.
There's nobody doing it better than he is. So, with all that being said, I watched this whole halftime show and was very impressed by their musicianship, the stage that rotated from performer to performer. They had it set up as a big house, doing a house party. They had little prop cars set up along the length of the stage.
Yeah.
And each time somebody came on, they were in a different room, and it fit the song that they were doing. Um,
Mm.
so from the song selection to the choreography to the performance, they were really good. It was all the songs you knew from the different artists. So, we're not trying to listen to something new and going, okay, what is that? It was all the tried and true classics, and just with great choreography and big lavish outfits. I mean, Mary J. Blige looked like a giant mirror ball, but she looked great.
Mhm.
Um,
Mhm.
and pulling 50 Cent out of nowhere. Nobody advertised him, and for good reason. He's
Yeah.
not really been relevant in any realm for a long time. But his room, when he came out, first he came up from the ceiling upside down, and they're
Mhm.
doing "In the Club," his biggest hit, and it's set up like a nightclub. It's fluorescent lighting and it's neon and
Yeah.
very scantily clad girls, and it was a different type of show that you usually see from the past few years of the
Yeah.
Super Bowl show. So I was impressed by it, just from an overall artistic standpoint, weaving the songs together so that they made some kind of sense, and then going back to those California themed songs so the
Yeah.
crowd gets into it was
Hmm.
very entertaining and well thought out.
Hmm.
And it was a great show. I've seen probably half the guys that were there. I saw Snoop Dogg in person, not on purpose, but because he went on tour with Linkin Park and Korn on one of those
Oh
festival
yeah.
shows.
Yep.
And I'm looking at the lineup halfway through the day, and I see Snoop Dogg. I'm like, the
Hmm.
Snoop Dogg? It's like, what's he doing here? Like everything else is a bunch of rock and
Rock.
alternative bands.
Yep.
Like one of these
Yeah, that
things is
was
not like
early
the other.
2000-ish, like 2001 or 2000, right? Or
Yeah, it
99 maybe.
was. It was. And that was the first time I saw him live, and he impressed me. So he's always been, thumbs up for me. And
Yeah.
like I said, massive love for him and them. So overall, it was really great show, um, from the top down, from artistically to the set to the performances themselves. So, but it's getting a lot of hate from the new age, the millennials on up. Um, but just let them live, and be next year, you'll get something this year back. But so I have nothing but love for it, even though I'm not even a rap and R&B fan.
Yeah. Yep. Well, there we go. That's our sports talk of the day. Because we got to get into these stories, Greg. Let's just get it going right there. This is the first old news that I came across. So there are overtures being sent to Stone Cold to wrestle. I use that term loosely because you wonder how much he'll go at Mania. And obviously, it's probably going to be against Kevin Owens because you've had Kevin Owens stating a lot about, hating Texas, doesn't want to
Uh-huh.
go there, blah, blah, blah. So I'll start first because this is, I got him tattooed on my arm, like, well, you came in wherever it is. I got him tatted up. Uh, he doesn't need to wrestle. That's, there's just no doubt about it. I think if he does the same thing he did last time it was in Dallas and he does like, maybe Owens is disparaging it and he just Stone Cold stuns him, moves on. That's what I need. I think that's fine. Um, I just don't think we need a match because we're not going to get a wrestling classic out of it. We're not going to, how much can Stone Cold bump? That neck is not, you know, the best neck ever. So, and I think both of them would want to do the most they can. It's like if Foley wanted to come back. If Mick Foley, I'm sure he would want to do as much as he could. I don't
Yeah.
think Stone Cold wants to just kind of, roll out there and put on a match just to do it. Kind of like The Rock did. I think that was in Dallas too, when The Rock beat Rowan in like 26 seconds. Was that
Hmm.
our, yeah, that was 30. Yeah, I think that was 30, 34, whatever it was. And, um, but I think if, maybe if Owens is kind of promo in the middle of the ring, Stone Cold comes out there, maybe Owens tries to play it up. They try to shake, and then you get the stunner. Owens has the beer, spits out the beer. That's fine. I still feel like Owens would get some rub from that. Not much, but what's really funny is somebody said we need Stone Cold, Steve Austin, and John Cena, and I was like, what are you smoking? Like, you must have been like Snoop Dogg before the halftime show because we do not need Stone Cold and John Cena at this rate in their career. Like, there's no rhyme reason. Maybe 10 years ago, you could pull that out and make it work. now there's no way. So, like I said, I think an in-ring segment that's not really a
Mhm.
match, but just Stone Cold laying out there, standing up for Texas. I guess that's all. I don't know. And like I said, would it give any rub to Owens? Probably not. But he'd get stunned by Stone Cold, and but then again, hopefully you have more for Kevin Owens to do. Like I said, him and Seth maybe getting the tag team titles. Maybe him and Austin Theory in a triple threat for the U.S. title. Maybe with Damian Priest. I feel like there's better options though than an actual match with Stone Cold. So, have you seen this same kind of stuff come up, Craig? And any thoughts on Stone Cold trying to, you know, get the neck all limbered up for a match at WrestleMania?
Yeah, it's been hearing low murmurs about it. I saw a article a few hours ago that Stone Cold built a ring at his house,
Hmm.
and that could be, just kind of a red herring, just to get people thinking about it or buzzing about it. And I'm with you in the sense that it would make sense to do a little segment and just have KO do a extended edition of the same promo that he cut on Monday,
Hmm.
where I hate Texas for A, B, C, D, and E, and he just goes a little bit longer with it, so that gives time for Austin to come out, and they do a little mean mugging, and then eventually Kevin gets dropped with a stunner. Um, and maybe they have some little back and forth first and get a good 5.5 minutes out of it. But that's all we need to see. We don't need to see Stone Cold wrestle for any reason. It's
Hmm.
WrestleMania, it's Dallas, and if there was any time that Stone Cold was going to come out, this would be the spot. So
Yeah.
it makes 100% sense. If he's not going to be the host, which is a possibility maybe,
Yeah.
and that would be even more reason for KO to come out because while Stone Cold's in the ring doing his hosting bit, KO comes out and they have the confrontation. So
Hmm.
that could be an angle, but there's no reason for a full blown match. Cut a couple promos and be done with it. Get cheap pop from the crowd. That's all you need. Like
Yeah.
you say, you do hope KO is doing something bigger than just that at WrestleMania, but if that's the way they're leaning, then there is going to be no something else because he's
Yeah.
not going to do that and then have a match later in the night.
No, of course not. Yeah. Or if he loses the match, maybe he still talks about Texas and Stone Cold comes out there and, lays him out. I mean, I guess you could go that route. Maybe it's after the match and Owen can say, well, I've never liked Dallas anyway. There's nobody good
Right?
here or something, or a KO show. I mean, we could get a small KO segment out of it. We got 2 nights. So, that's the thing too. Like, you know, if you're going to do the match, like, I feel like you'd put it on night 2 just because that's Stone Cold coming back for that one match. But I mean, we saw with Shawn Michaels and that what happened there. So that's all we got to talk about
Yeah.
there. So, but Greg, we got this is still kind of blowing people's mind. So Cody Rhodes and Brandy Rhodes no longer with AEW. I mean, completely out. Some people, of course, Greg, are still saying, "Oh, it's a work, it's a work." I mean, the fact that Tony Khan's coming out, I mean, Brody Lee's widow is coming out. You have all the thank yous. I mean, this would be the biggest work ever if everybody was in on it that deep. But I think it's legit. This is, and then the thing becomes, where does he go? Do you call, I hate saying crawl back to WWE, but in a way, it kind of is. So I'll let you give some thoughts first, and then we'll kind of maybe go back and forth because I feel like some people said, Greg, this could have a ripple effect. This is one of your
Hmm.
obviously former EVPs, former CFO, whatever she was. I mean that and we've always wondered, Greg, like their characters just we never could get a feel for it. There had to be some sort of disagreement, or there had to be not maybe just but going back and forth about character because like we said, Brandy Rhodes was always in some different direction every other week. And then you think about her start of her career and Cody Rhodes. Some of these promos he's cutting are just like, where are you going with this? So there had to be some sort of, disagreement, or, they're just going to do their route. But have at it, Greg. What did you think when you first saw this news?
I'm a bit surprised because, like you said, he is an EVP and a shot caller in the company, and some of those promos he's been cutting lately has been very meta and very, where is he going with this, like you were saying, and you just figure he'd be locked in, you know, forever is too big a word, but you know, definitely
But
more
longer than
than
3 years.
exactly. Um, so the fact that he's gone now. I mean, he didn't mention on in a promo a few weeks ago that he's still not under contract, um, and now he's out of work technically. So it's a surprise because now you go, okay, what's he do next? Vince McMahon isn't shy to bring in a guy he released, after he's left and built the name for himself and come back. I'd be more enthused about it if Triple H wasn't in such bad health. And I hope he's better and, you know, television ready, because it would be great to have Cody come back and Hunter come out and they have a promo in the middle of the ring, like Punk and Eddie Kingston had, because
Mhm.
when AEW debuted, Cody mocked Triple H in every way he could think of, and that would be the most venom spewed back and forth if they let it go that way and just break down the fourth wall and let them go at each other. It would be the greatest thing on TV. Um, but we don't know how Triple H is doing, and there's a ready-made storyline ready to go right there. Um, so that's a reason I'm a little down on it. But if he comes back, where does he go from there? Um, he's definitely made a bigger name for himself after leaving. But is Vince going to let him expound on that and use it for what it is? Use his new star power. So I'm not so sure about that. So options are going to help reform ROH now. You've already brought one company up from nothing, and now they're here. Why not new ROH who's in the same spot? They are going to be bringing or relaunching in April, and you have molds of clay and a foundation, a name, but you don't have wrestlers. You don't have uh, TV. You got to build everything from the ground up again. So you've done it once. Why not do it again? You can go to Japan, have that freedom that he has in AEW. So there's a lot of options for him, because I'm sure he's much more of a hot commodity now than when WWE released him.
Mhm.
So I'm very curious to see where he goes next.
I mean, and I was wondering, there's a couple thoughts I had. He kind of did the indie run beforehand, but could he go back and be like Matt Cardona and just kind of do whatever you want? I mean, if you don't want to sign to WWE, now the only thing I think I take a little pause on that, he has the family. He has Brandy, he has the new baby. I think she's still a year maybe. So it's like, do you
Mhm.
want that steady income and that guarantee, well, not guaranteed contract, because anymore they're not, but you know and then my other thought was, maybe what if him and Triple H could run at NXT together? I mean, if he still wants some power, some CEO type position, I
Mhm.
mean, that might be better than Vince and Bruce Pritchard running it down there, or whoever, Nick Khan, or whoever, Vince. I mean, I'm sure there might be some bridges to kind of repair there, just with the back and forth. Because let's face it, Greg, Brandy and Cody want to be Triple H and Stephanie. I mean, that's there's no
Yeah.
doubt about it. I mean, but CEO name, you have Stephanie McMahon, CFO, you have Vince, or Brandy and Stephanie kind of on the same level, and then you have Triple H and Cody on the same level, in some capacity of upper management. So it's almost like they were following the same route. I think they wanted to show that they could do it. Now, do you think this speaks deeper to things going on in AEW that you can't keep one of your EVPs around? I mean, one of your high star players. I mean, is there maybe more than meets the eye there? I know you've been gun ho, Greg, that AEW is going to get the ratings war, but is there maybe some deeper issues there that might start to fracture? Because obviously, it feels like Cody is no longer as close. Maybe we just don't know it, but with the Young Bucks, or Hangman Adam Page, or Kenny Omega, who are all where they were EVPs at one point. It feels like you don't hear that as much now. You know what I'm like? I think the Young Bucks still have some power, but I'm curious if, Kenny Omega or Adam Page have some more. But, is there maybe some little splintering that could be a bigger crack in the foundation?
I don't see it in that way due to the fact that Cody's is the most successful of the EVPs in the sense that Hollywood has really gone after him since he came
Yeah.
over, and
Yeah.
he's the biggest face or the one who's put over most when it comes to the Go Big show. He's the first name they mentioned. Is his face is all over the promos. So you've had that running for two seasons.
2 seasons, yeah.
Maybe not 2 years, but 2 seasons.
Yeah.
And he's just had his own reality show. Nobody's offering the Bucks a reality show. Nobody's offering Kenny Omega a reality show. Hollywood is really gunning for him, and Cody seems to be soaking it up and running with it. And they've used that in some of the angles with Cody, and maybe it's hitting a little too close to home. And maybe it could be a galvanizing effect on the rest of the EVPs. Cody's gone Hollywood, so let him do his thing, and we're going to stay here and do our thing. And
true.
Who's to say if Hollywood came after Kenny Omega or the Young Bucks or somebody else that's EVP, that maybe the story would be different. But I think Cody's removed himself from the inner circle to steal another term from AEW. And he's just taking advantage of the Hollywood route and in essence kind of weeded himself out of AEW.
I was going to say, he probably stretched himself too thin, I feel like.
Yeah. And you mentioned the family. It's a lot safer money sitting on a host panel and judging crazy stuntmen than taking bumps in the ring. So I'm betting he wished he decided to go this route a few weeks ago before he went through a flaming table. But I think this is more Cody's doing than a fracture among the EVPs.
That's probably more what it is. Almost like you said, he's, they always want to say nobody's bigger than the company, but it's almost like he was a little bit, in a roundabout way, maybe not, the best way, but so I feel like it's got to be WWE though. Like I said, or maybe the Matt Cardona route right now, just kind of doing your thing, and then asking Vince, hey, what do you got for me? Like maybe in a couple, months, but the writing is there that it feels like he'll go back to WWE. It'll be interesting to see how he's presented though. Does Vince hold some?
Exactly.
I mean, and could Triple H be that middleman that might have to, be the buffer to even though Triple H took some brunt of that too. So it's like, who's going to be that middleman to try to, calm this, maybe be like, okay, we understand you did what you had to do. we're not going to hold it against you because you did it. I mean, you made it happen. So because right now I don't know who that mediator, like I hate to say it, if you still have Dusty Rhodes, you could still probably use Dusty as a middleman,
Hmm.
type deal. But I'm sure Triple H probably took a little more offense just because everything was so on the nose, the breaking of the
Right.
throne. And like I
Hmm.
said, I mean, he's essentially becoming like a Triple H in training, just with the way that they were positioned. So, but this is, like I said, it's pretty big news because this is a higher up. We keep saying WWE starts at AEW, and we keep saying, oh, and then we've also caught them the other way. Well, maybe AEW started at WWE. Maybe this feels like, oh, this might this is a pretty big name. And Brandy is probably the other interesting name because she obviously wants to wrestle, but I just, who does she want to be in the ring? What character does she want to create? And like a lot of people said, Greg, now we had to sit through all those damn um, Dan Lambert segments for nothing. I mean, it
Yeah.
was, we were all gun ho. I was like, well, her and Paige Van Zant, okay, at least it's leading to something. Now it's like, well, that was for nothing. So, what do you think
Right.
about Brandy, though? Do you think Brandy will get a shot to wrestle in WWE, either NXT or the main roster?
Yeah, I had the same thought you did that, now the whole American Top Team, Dan Lambert, Paige Van Zant angle is screwed, and you're gonna have to find another way to bring Paige in. Um, so crappy timing on her part, but looking at her, I can see her in the women's division on NXT as a surprise challenger for Mandy Rose. Um, she wants to be a heel anyway. She could end up taking Mandy Rose's spot as the top heel because she's made no bones about it that she wants to be the heel. Even on the reality show, she was telling Cody she wants to be the bad girl. And, even in her promos, like the last one she just did, or I think it was the one before, which she came out in Chicago and goes, "Hello, Cleveland." Um, and she wants to be the bad girl. So I could see her
Yeah.
in NXT. Um, even though she's a veteran presence, very few of her have seen her wrestle unless we were watching TNA,
Mm-hmm.
back in the day. So as long as she's, healthy enough to go, I mean, like I said, that she's a year removed from pregnancy,
Mm-hmm.
I could see her getting some time to actual wrestle. And it'd be better if they just use her and Cody as a package and, branch into that. I think it's Cody was very adamant about not turning heel in AEW. I think he ends up being like the mega heel in WWE when they bring him back, just to kind of stick it to the AEW fans.
Mm-hmm.
Same way he stuck it to WWE when he came over to AEW.
You wonder what kind of response he'll get too. I mean, I guess we'll wait and see. Um, I guess it depends on how he's presented and all that, but I will be curious how people will treat him, upon his if it. I mean, I keep saying if the return. I mean, it's probably written in stone, written in something, written in clay to dry. But yeah, what kind of response do you think he could get?
uh, yeah, it does. It's going to depend on how that first promo goes. But I think when he comes out, he's going to get lustily booed, same way he did in AEW. Because whether WWE admits it or not, same people who are watching them are watching AEW, and
Yeah,
probably more people because the ratings are pretty much identical.
yeah.
Um, so I think he's still going to get booed, and it's just a matter of does he lean into it and finally just go with it, or is he going to, still try to be Captain America and, fight against it? So again, that first promo is going to be everything, and see if he's just going to accept it and go with it and use that to make him even bigger, or um, they're going to angle him different character, different look and everything, and that's probably like the most.
Maybe could get that hero, like that return pop, and then like you said, depends on which way he goes with it. I mean, I know the last thing they want to hear is AEW chanted, and that's the thing
True.
too. You feel like there might, but there's probably going to be those few smattering of fans trying to get it going. But I do wonder what he'll get. So, but I mean, I feel like it's just going to be an interesting time to watch because at this rate, he could show up at any point. he's free and clear. No 90 days, no 30 days. Not this is he's without. He's just he's a contracted. He's not contracted anywhere. So I guess we'll just kind of wait and see. And you feel like they'd want to try to get him before Mania, though. And get him a storyline into there because that would probably be a big selling point for him. And kind of let that play out. So. All right, let's do a quick kind of commercial break before we jump into our reason for the show, which is all about Elimination Chamber happening this Saturday live at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, whatever time that means for your different time zones. But live from Saudi Arabia, Riyadh, sorry, and we'll get our predictions going for that. So let's just kind of kick it off right here. I'm surprised this is not a kickoff match, but I think this is going to hit the main card. Rey Mysterio versus The Miz kind of just started taking off here in the last few weeks with Dominic Mysterio and The Miz, and now it's kind of transferred over to Rey. I'm afraid, Greg, this is probably going to be a WrestleMania program. So my official prediction is going to be The Miz here. I feel like Rey would be the bigger winner at Mania just because it's WrestleMania, but I just don't know what else The Miz is going to do right now. I mean, here's the other thing. I guess you could do, if you had Cody and Brandy back, could they go against The Miz and Maurice before Mania, at Mania, and kind of get that hero's welcome, let The Miz play him up and all that. Because I feel like The Miz could cut some good promos against Cody and give some firepower to maybe have Cody be a face just for the time being, get that hero's welcome at Mania. But I'm also afraid we're probably getting, Rey, Mysterio, and The Miz again at WrestleMania. Maybe you do the mask type match, and then that way that gives it some stipulation. But I'm going to The Miz to pick up the win here, Greg. How about yourself?
I like the angle for as far as getting Cody over as the babyface, and doing him and Brandy against Miz Maurice, and just letting Miz MJF as much as he wants, so he can use all the material Cody's given him over the last couple of years, and use that, and just hit as far below the belt as he wants to, which is far more than the WWE usually allows guys to go outside the box in their promos. So I would totally be on for that. They let him do something like that. As far as this goes, I'm hoping that this angle ends here, because you can still pivot Miz into something else. He's done great work with Edge and the people he's been paired off with, and this is just a nice little placeholder, I think, until he gets his final assignment for Mania. So he's done a good job putting over Dominic, and giving Ray screen time, good legend versus legend kind of showdown for Saudi Arabia. But
Yeah.
I'm going to go ahead and put my lot in with Rey Mysterio getting the win, and then pivoting Miz into something else after this match is over.
I'd be fine with that too. Because like I said, this is just kind of a weird type of feud. Like you said, just a weird random timing too. But next up, how about this one? Drew McIntyre versus Madcap Moss. Greg, have at it.
Yikes! I mean, if we're gonna do this, this is the best place to do it. Do it in Saudi Arabia, get it out of there, and again, put Drew on his WrestleMania course. This is I don't know why it's not Corbin. Maybe he has an injury or something like that, and that's why Madcap is getting all the Drew time, because you figure that the payoff's going to end up being him and Corbin. So
I'm just scared it's
you know
at
you
Mania.
yeah, hope
I
not.
mean,
For Drew's sake, I hope there's something bigger and better for him. Uh,
yeah.
but we like weapons matches, but it's falls count anywhere. It's not really going to happen outside the ring, given the crowd that's in attendance.
Yeah.
So it kind of loses some of its luster as opposed to if it was being fought in St. Louis or someplace in the
Yeah.
States.
You might go
So
in the crowd and duke it out a little. Like, I'll be curious if they would go into the crowd in Saudi Arabia or they just go up the ramp, maybe around there. But yeah,
yeah,
sorry.
yeah, but I got Drew for this one too. So I can see some interference really doesn't matter because fall count anywhere. It's not
Yeah,
going to be a disqualification. So I think Drew all the way.
this is all Drew. All right. Next match. That's all. I'm just so scared, Greg. I had to click it quick because I'm so afraid they're giving us Corbin and Drew at Mania.
Ugh,
And I feel, and like I said, because I keep waiting for Drew to have that Mania moment, like with the crowd. Yeah, I mean, yes,
right.
he beat Brock, but he beat him in the Performance Center. I mean, that's like that's not, gets his Royal Rumble win at the Performance Center, gets Brock at the Performance Center, just doesn't get it. So I think this one should be pretty good though. I kind of just wonder where the Viking Raiders are at though. Are they on the tail it. I feel like they're like, where's their contract at? Because I feel like they've been around for a while. I thought maybe Sarah Logan would still be around, but it looks like the Rumble is maybe just a one off. Maybe if they re-sign, maybe she could sign up. Kind of stick with them. But
Mhm.
this is all the Usos for me, Greg. I just don't see any way the Viking Raiders. I think it'll be a good match. Good 10 to 15 minute. Barn burner, hard hitting. You let Rowan do, or you'll let Ivar hit a couple moves. Eric hits his moves, but this is all the Usos to retain the championships. What's your official prediction for this match?
Yeah, I agree. Usos all the way, just because they really haven't done anything to make the Viking Raiders look strong and look
Yeah.
like they're worthy of uh, match or beating the Usos. I mean, they've got a couple wins lately, but they've been done dirty for so long that
Mhm.
you can't even see it happening at this point. Their best thing would be to leave the company and rebuild their image.
Mhm. Yeah, and that's what you wonder, like if Sarah would just kind of do her thing with them, because at this rate, I mean, like I said, my other idea was Sarah Logan and Liv for tag team titles because I feel like that'd be awesome for them to finally have that piece, but doesn't look like that's going to happen either. Next up, speaking of the women, we got this, which I think is really going to be a nice, barn burner of a elimination chamber match. Or is this in the chamber? I'm pretty sure it's in the chamber, right?
Yeah,
Yeah. All right. So the winner will
this
get an
chamber.
get an opportunity at the Raw Women's Title at WrestleMania. So Greg, we do have Alexa Bliss being that sixth participant. She's going to be my wild card for this. I wonder how she's going to be presented. What is she going to kind of do in the match? I feel like she'll get pinned by Nikki just because they've had some history there. But you also could have Nikki and Rhea maybe just eliminate each other. But I kind of wonder if Alexa will get some shine in this just to kind of rebuild her. We kept saying, oh, she's probably going to be back at Raw, but I even threw out the idea, she could just be that sixth participant because you don't have Bailey ready. Asuka is doing Asuka's whatever, whatever Asuka's doing, Greg. We
That's right. That's
thought,
the shirt I'm rocking today.
there you go. I would have loved to pull the trigger on a NXT woman, but obviously they didn't feel that need. I mean, especially since Io is ready. I mean, Io's beyond ready. She's like
Oh yeah.
out of the oven and cooled off, ready to eat. Like just get her in the ring. So it only made sense to throw Alexa in there. But what is your official prediction, Greg?
I'm going to go with Alexa Bliss,
Okay.
and I didn't like the way that her last therapy session ended because it seems counterintuitive. I mean, the whole idea of the therapy session was to break away from, uh, the hate and the Lily uh, stuff, uh, and then you're cured. Here's Lily. I mean, what? I mean,
And of course,
that's
that could play up into what she does at the chamber. Does she fall apart or does she somehow become a more Lily like character? So I'm kind of
yeah.
into it.
Me too. But I would like it better if this was the match to see who was going to face Charlotte instead of who was going to face Becky, because Charlotte's the one who ripped up Lily,
Yeah, that's true.
and it would come full circle that way.
Mhm.
Um, but looking at it in the sense that Becky Lynch has gone through everybody else in the chamber except for Alexa.
Mhm.
She's had multiple matches with Bianca. Um, I think she only had one with Dewdrop, um,
Yeah.
and Liv multiple matches. So there's nothing new except for Alexa. So um, Alexa's like I said, the wild card. So um, she makes the most sense at this point. So
Mhm.
as long as she's not Fiend Alexa and just some variant of what she was and
Yeah.
old Alexa, I'm good with that. Even if she's carrying the doll around, but I hope they at least let go of the whole supernatural gimmick and let her be more uh, quirky, but let her real in-ring talent shine out.
Yeah. And see, I'm going all Bianca. Because I'm trying. Wait, did we get the one-on-one with Bianca and Becky though yet? We got the SummerSlam and we got the wasn't triple threat with her and Liv against Becky, but I don't think we've got the official one-on-one yet with Becky and Bianca.
I seem to think there was a match on Raw,
Was
and
there?
I think
Okay.
Becky cheated to win, but
Okay.
she still won.
Okay, that's right. Yeah. So I don't know. I mean, I feel like Bianca's the best bet. I feel like Nikki and Rhea kind of cancel each other out. Like you said, I don't. Dewdrop is still like I felt like they gave Dewdrop the shine at Royal Rumble. I mean, Alexa could be the dark horse though, because Alexa and Becky, have we seen them go at it?
I don't think,
Trying to think.
not that I can think of.
Yeah. Okay. So that could be a kind of a fresh matchup. I it would be interesting to see which side of the crowd, which side crowd the crowd would favor. How's Alexa? Obviously they like to boo. Or if Lita somehow pulls the upset, that really throws things up in the air. But I don't think that's
True.
going to happen. Which I believe. Oh no, we'll do this one first. So yeah, my official prediction is Bianca. I feel like Bianca and Becky makes the most sense. This one, Greg, all Ronda, Naomi. I just think you have a double pin, you have double submission. I mean, the person to watch though, I think, is Ronda. I really want to see how she's moving. Is she into it? Um, is
Hmm.
she in it like mentally and physically? I feel like she's looked good. Doing some small things. She did the hip toss. Arm bar.
But this is, this, I feel like it'll probably be less than 10 minutes though, honestly,
Mhm.
but, we're headed for Ronda and Charlotte. And I mean, I think we need Naomi and Sonya at WrestleMania as well. So, but I do think this is all Naomi and Ronda, like I said, maybe double pin or some sort of gimmicky finish to it. So, what about yourself, Greg?
Yep, I agree. Ronda and Naomi by a mile, and nobody's bigger Ronda fan than me,
Yeah,
but she's definitely looked off or not into it since she came back. I mean, like she's still a little lost to figuring out what she's doing.
yeah,
So hopefully this dials her in and she's ready to go from here on out. But you know you can I don't know if this is the payoff for Sonya and Naomi yet,
hmm
but it's a good catapult to a big match at WrestleMania for Sonya and Naomi. And just because it's a tag team match, you can further that storyline, especially if you take Sonya out of power as
if
an executive behind the
like
scenes.
if you have that stipulation, yeah. I feel like if you and if now maybe if you have Naomi just pin Sonya straight up, I might just end it there. I mean, and just the next week they say she's out of power. She's abused it. Now, but I feel like you'd still probably want to do the 1-on-1, let Naomi have all that glory, kind of get
Right.
back. But it'll be like you said. I do think though. I wonder about Ronda though, Greg. Like you said, and if she's not in it, that WrestleMania match might not. That could be a train wreck, and that's the last thing you want because
Hmm.
I feel like it could main event. We don't want, so she better mentally be ready, and I don't think she would have came back if she wasn't ready. But at the same time, you don't necessarily know if you're ready to come back, I guess, until you do it. So
Yeah.
hopefully, like you said, um, definitely promo wise, she hasn't looked anywhere near ready. So hopefully in the ring, you can make that work better. So,
Yeah. They had
and
insane heat from a couple years ago when it was her and Charlotte and Becky, and every
yes,
week was just intensity boiling off the
yes,
screen, and you could warm marshmallows in it, and they would had just so much heat, so much passion, so much fire. And this time around, you're not getting that out of Ronda, and you're not, feeling it when she and Charlotte are in the same ring at the same time. So
and
they
that's
need
what's
to dial
scary.
that back up. Yeah.
Yeah, they need they'll have to find some way to get that back. Charlotte just digging deeper into her, or you know, I mean, she's already playing up the baby role. So, and like I said, Ronda could be spread thin too. Being up like I think it showed her like breastfeeding in the trailer, like getting her makeup done. I mean, that's a lot to think of. Taking care of your baby, thinking of your match, and
Yeah.
getting makeup done. I mean, that's I'm no woman, Greg, but I feel like I can hardly multitask sometimes. So I can't imagine having a baby attached to me, getting makeup done, thinking about and being in a trailer, you're not at home, you're on the road
Hmm.
again. So, but this is the match, though. I think this one, Greg, could kind of steal the show a little bit. I feel like Lita has definitely shown she wants to finish out a run strong, and even if she loses this match, I still like to find her something to do at WrestleMania. You know what? Like I feel like there's still, I don't know what. That's only downfall. Like, do you throw Becky and her? Maybe Sasha and Lita. That seems like a just a match you could kind of somehow finagle. But I'm predicting Becky to win because I think Becky makes the most sense. But if Lita won, I'd probably be like, okay, that's that's fine. But I definitely want to see how these two kind of mesh, and kind of see what they got together because I think they could really put together a good 10 to 13 minute match, and make it mean something. So, what's your prediction, Greg, for this match?
I'm with you. I think Becky's still going to win, but this could definitely steal the show. Um, I believe wholeheartedly they can have a 5-star match. Given enough time, it's not just going to be 5-6 minutes and they're out of there. Lita's shown she can still go. She's still got it. And, I would be loving it if they put together like a 20-minute classic because they're capable of it, both of them. The storyline's been great. Becky last week was hilarious. The look, haven't slept in a week business. And it just lends to, these two could have a sensational match. So I think, Becky still wins, but Lita, still looks like $1,000,000, in defeat. And she can always, just take up the mic and go, I'm issuing an open challenge for WrestleMania. Who wants it? So, she's got that status. She's a Hall of Famer. She's a legend. And, if she wants to have a match and have a run, then, I'm starting over. I'm starting my championship run. Let's go get it. So that's where I see it going.
All right, you could take Bailey and Sasha against Trish and Lita. That could be a good WrestleMania style match because that's the old and the the young and the old kind of going at it and the besties. So
right,
that'd be a really fun match too for me to see. So next up, it's all Roman. It's all Roman, Greg. That's all we got to say, right?
Roman, next.
All right, and let's get into this. This is going to be. I think this is really going to be interesting to see how guys are positioned. How much time will Austin Theory get? How much time will Riddle get? Because this is going to be the biggest match we've seen Riddle in a while. He had he had a match with Bobby Lashley for the title, I think, or non-title, which was pretty good. I thought he had one with Drew too, but Austin Theory, if we're going to say my X factor, he's not going to win, obviously, but I do want to see how much Austin Theory gets in the match and how, does he maybe get a win over AJ Styles or something like that, get one pin, and eliminate AJ Styles or eliminate Riddle or eliminate Seth.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, those are probably, but obviously, Greg, it's coming down to Lashley and Lesnar.
Yeah.
And my official prediction is Brock. I just think there's too much money out there to say title versus title. And whether they play it off like, oh, we're not combining, however they play it off, that's that's after WrestleMania. But leading up to it, I think you got to play that up. Brock versus Roman with both of them having a title. I don't think you could do any bigger than that. I think you can give me Brock and Roman for one title, but if you have both of them there, Greg, that's that's night 2, main event, giving it all the time it needs. So I'm going to call Lesnar. The other route is Lashley probably retaining, and then whatever. But I don't know who's gonna. I don't know what route you go for Lashley. Even if Lashley loses, I kind of have a hard time finding where he's going to fit. Obviously he'll be on Mania, but it's going to be interesting to see what they do with him. Title or not. I mean, honestly, at this rate. So, who was your call, Greg? And give me some thoughts of your own on this, pretty stacked Elimination Chamber.
Yeah, it's super stacked. I love this match, and the people they put in it. Kudos to them because these are the guys. These are guys you want in there. Love what Austin Theory's been doing. Like I said last week, he's one of the guys who's come out of NXT and thrived instead of everybody else who comes out of NXT getting destroyed by creative and just gimmick changes that are unnecessary and so on and so forth. He's really shined and been better on the main roster than he was in NXT. Love him, but he's one of those guys that, I can put in the no chance of winning category.
Pun intended.
Right. AJ, he would be fun, but, I don't see him going into the WrestleMania with with the belt. So he and Austin Theory and Riddle are the three that I'm putting in that category that, love the minute, but they're not going to win. And for me, it comes down to the three in the center, Brock, Lashley, and Seth Rollins. Um, First, because Seth has to win over Roman. It was disqualification, but he still won the match, um, and he looked great in that match with Roman. And so, if Lashley retains, I think it would be he and Seth um, for in the title match. Um, that being said, I'm still got to take Brock because, like you said, the whole title versus title angle. Um, yes, there's no way to do it without letting that cat out of the bag and aiming back towards another Brock and Roman, big payoff. So I still got to take Brock to win.
Yeah. Um, Now I will throw this out there. If AJ Styles somehow wins, then I'm all for him and Edge for the title. But that also kind of screws Lashley because I don't know what Lashley will do. But if AJ Styles somehow, pulls off the upset, and then also, Greg, I guess this is more of a question. Does Seth Rollins somehow find his way into Brock and Roman? Because he's always been there, and I feel like
Mm-hmm.
maybe you just pull that trigger and just go out triple threat style, and maybe Seth has to be the fall guy. Unfortunately, if you still want to maybe keep Roman and Brock away from each other, I don't one on one. But so do you think Seth finds his way into that? Because I feel like he is for some reason.
It's interesting because you recreate the heist of the century.
Yeah,
Only this time, Seth is in the match instead of having the element of surprise on his side.
it has to figure out
So,
how to win.
right. So I like that aspect of it. That you're giving us this match again, and it would definitely be fun. It's definitely the close of night two.
Yeah.
So I like it. I wouldn't hate it at all.
hmm I don't. Doesn't. I mean, it just kind of feels like it's headed towards that. But like Brock and Roman is so like that should be your And I'm big on one for titles. Like I'm still kind of that old school. Unless
Yeah.
there's ultimately three guys that for sure. Like WrestleMania 30, like we knew it was Orton Batista and it had to be Daniel Bryan type stuff. Like that. There was no way around it. But most times you just think it's got to be one. So
Yeah. Here's
let's
why I
get.
don't like it though
Sorry, go ahead.
is
Okay.
the reason I don't like it is because I still want two championship matches at WrestleMania
Well, yeah,
unless you're going the route of unifying the belts.
yeah,
There's going to be one champion across the whole
both
Raw
brands.
and
Yeah.
SmackDown. If you're going to do that and, one man or winner take all, there's going to be just one champion, period.
hmm
Then yes, let's do it. Otherwise, if you're not going to do that, there should be Raw champion, SmackDown champion, and they both get their high profile matches at WrestleMania. You know me,
Even if it's not the main
1000%
event,
Team Brock. Right.
even if it's up, I mean, because I'm still old school in that whatever your money match is, that should be the main event. If it's not a title, I mean, but if it's your best storyline and you're big, well, then you have to do it. Like, I mean, I know it sounds horrible and all that. But at the same time, it's WrestleMania. I think you
Hmm.
you put all your chips into one basket. And there's not many times that the title hasn't. Well, I guess we could say what WrestleMania 18, like The Rock and Hogan, that could arguably been the main event. It probably should have been, but was that Jericho and Triple H after that? I think, and they said they felt like all the air had been sucked out of the stadium and they couldn't do anything just because you just had Hogan and Rock like tear down the house. And so, yeah, like every once in a while, yes, there's, that type of moment. But
do you think this is a unific or a winner take all situation with Brock and Roman?
I feel like they'll just keep the 2 titles. So that way, Greg, if they need to get the title off, like if they need one title off that guy, like then you could still have him lose one of the titles and be on the other brand. Like Becky. Like Becky had, 2 belts, and then she could lose one, but still have the other one. And that's what I'm, like you said, I'm kind of scared of that. I think at this rate, we need one champion. We need one. We need one men and women's, and I probably even say tag. I'm fine with US and IC title. I think those should be brand specific. Because that's still, because if you just have one IC title, if you have one secondary title, one main title, there's too many guys for that, because you have somebody like Austin Theory, who I think would be better suited for a US title run more than an IC. I can't get out of my mindset that the IC title is not not in high regard like it used to be, Craig. I'm still that old, like, it means you're going to be the champion next, which it anymore it really doesn't. But or I think Sheamus, you've never won the IC title, go win it. Or Cena, like Cena's never won the IC title, just give it to him. But anyway, so I personally think we're at the point there needs to be one world champion on the men's side and women's side, and one, I hate saying it, tag team champions, because like we said, the tag team titles just every once in a while, like we said, Raw made a few teams feel like they wanted it. Now SmackDown's the opposite, where we don't have any, like, it's just the Viking Raiders and the Usos. And you kind of have Kofi, you have Los Lotharios, you have Kofi and Big E, but they don't feel like they're getting in that title picture anytime soon. So, yeah. What do you think? Do you think we need one major title as well for the men and women's at least?
Yeah, absolutely. And especially for the world title, because it feeds into Roman's gimmick all the way. I'm the head of the table. I'm putting food on all your tables, not every just SmackDown, but Raw too. And that just feeds the beast as far as everything you say being 100% true. I'm the champion. I'm the face. I'm the number one guy. And as long as there's another champ on the other show, then that takes steam away from what he's saying. So it's better to just have one champion on the whole main roster instead of one per brand. So I'm 100% for unifying the belts and having one champion for the men and the women.
Because then you can use the contenders matches. If you're having the title defended, well, then you still can have 2 guys in the wing or 3 guys, whatever, triple threat, fatal 4-way. That's going to, kick off the next pay-per-view or something like that. So, yeah. I'm just afraid, Greg, if they do title versus title, they're going to give some out to it. They're going to say, well, he has both titles. Or they'll just play it up like, oh, well, we didn't mean title for title. We just meant, or they could say champion versus champion. And then that way it's not titles. It's just the better man wins. You know what I mean? Like, you wonder if they'll use that lingo instead of title for title, if they'll use champion versus champion, because in that way it doesn't even take the titles into consideration. It just takes whoever's the better champion. So that could be a way, But I still think Brock and Roman is, like right now today, Greg, like Brock and Roman is your night 2. And I think Charlotte and Ronda is night 1. I just don't know anything else, I feel bad saying that for Lashley, but like, if you had to pick a champion, like if we had to pick a match for Lashley, that's going to be like high profile, Greg, right now. I don't know. Like, who is it?
Well, it depends. Where'd you put Seth? Because Seth and Lashley would be awesome.
Yeah.
But if he's not going to be in the title match, then Seth and Bobby for next man up would be fantastic.
That's true. Yeah. That's the only thing. Yeah, I guess that's the only thing I can think of. Like, Seth is our fall to, like, we need a contender. We'll just go to him. So, and I'm still holding out hope, Greg, that maybe Seth and KO get the tag team titles, but I know it's not the best and that could maybe build up the tag team titles because you have two solid, number two guys. Like you have two hot, like Orton and Riddle. It kind of worked to their favor. So,
Yeah.
let's do a couple commercial breaks, and then we'll. Do we want to preview Dynamite, Greg? I also have a last call. Which one? Which one do you think? Do you want to pull out the Dynamite preview, or do you want to pull out the last call?
We'll do Dynamite.
Okay, so we'll do a commercial break, do Dynamite preview, do one more, and then we can do a quick last call. If
Sure.
what time did you have to be out of here? 7:30 or 7?
Yeah, I'm good for the next
Okay.
What is
hour.
up, everybody? It's your boy Dan over at BWSPORTS1.com and Black and White Sports. And I'm wondering if you're ready to buy or sell that home, now's the time, and I got just the person for you. Mr. Sean Nugent, a.k.a. Rockstar Realtor himself. 317-503-8322. Put that home on the market. Get into your dream home with this man. Talk to Sean at Talk to Tucker today, 317-503-8322, and make sure you tell him the boys over at BWSPORTS1.com sent you.
All right, so here we go. Here's kind of the preview for AEW Dynamite. You know what, Greg? I still forget it's on TBS a month into this thing. I got to remind myself it's on TV. And remember that Big Bang is on before. I don't have to watch the last 5 minutes of The Accountant for the 100th time. I know that by my heart now, that stupid ending of The Accountant. So you've yet to see the movie. But anyway, so all right, I'll let you have it first. What do you think on this now, obviously, this isn't everything happening. This is their official preview, so, more could happen. But what are you holding out as most exciting to watch tonight, Greg, for this little preview?
Sammy and Darby, 100%.
Makes it a little bit bigger.
That's got a match of the night, 5-star potential written all over
Think
it.
that could be main event tonight?
Absolutely. It should be. I mean, looking at the rest of this lineup, it definitely should be the main event.
I bet we open up with Brian and Lee.
I feel like I'd rather see the Inner Circle started off.
Yeah, and get that over with. I mean,
pretty much, yeah.
That would be good bookends though too if you had that open and then it end with Sammy and seeing, if he's officially done with Inner Circle, which he should be. But
yeah.
And then what do we think about CM Punk? He's going to make a match for Revolution, right? I would imagine.
Right.
I don't know what the rules will be. Maybe submission match? Because he has the Anaconda Vice. And I don't know has MJF ever made anybody tap out? I can't remember.
I want to say he made Jericho tap out once.
Okay.
I'm not 1,000% sure about it, but I seem to think that he did make him tap out.
That could be. Or pass out maybe, or quit.
It's possible.
Like, because was it Blood and Guts? You either submit or, well, I guess you submit or pin or.
Yeah, on top of the cage with the armbar.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's right.
Maybe I think that was it.
We think this is going 3 matches, right?
Yeah. So I see Punk doing a cage match.
Okay.
If he's calling his shot, a cage match would be fitting. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, even though people interfere, that's always it still bogs my mind. No, nobody could get into the cage match, and then every time somebody finds their way to get in. So.
Yep.
And then Jericho and Hager, like we said, we kind of talked about this on Saturday, that, man, this just needs to be done. I just, the Inner Circle did what they did. Santana Ortiz need to move on. I mean, Hager, I don't know. Hager's going to be the guy that like you said, I don't know if he's made himself better, but, we'll see what he has. So,
yeah.
And obviously Wardlow all the way. We're going to have Wardlow and Keith Lee so far in that Revolution match. That's going to be some
some house fighting. Maybe we should
Absolutely.
get Archer, get Malachi, for some strikes. I was trying to think of some other hard hitting. But yeah,
And that could be a place for Hager to go because he's not going to have a place to go after this match is over.
maybe just do a bunch of big hosses in there.
Why not? Why not?
So, I mean, Keith Lee in there is going to be awesome to see. Anyway, so yeah. Are we still calling the shot that maybe now I don't know if the Wardlow turn will happen at Revolution because if you have both those matches, so maybe that's the Dynamite after. Do you think that's when the face turn happens for Wardlow?
Yeah, especially MJF loses, come out, he runs down everybody, including his own team, and that could finally be, the straw that breaks the camel's back for Wardlow.
Yeah.
So it'd be a good, kickoff post Revolution and resetting the deck as it is. So, yeah, I think that's would be good party planning right there.
And I think Thunder Rosa picks up the win over Mercedes.
Yeah, Mercedes got the upper hand with the lead pipe, and now it's payback time.
I guess this could open up the night. I mean, sometimes you do open up kind of with those, just hard hitting matchups. But I feel like Bryan Danielson has opened up. He's opened up quite a few, and I think he's fine with it. He gets them done for the night and move on. But yeah, so I think a pretty loaded show. And do you think there will be a weird vibe to it with the Cody news?
It could be. I mean, somebody should just get out in front of it and say something about it during the show. Let them get it out their system as far as the crowd.
I think so. That's what I'm wondering. Let them get it out their system. Do anything?
And like I was saying when we're talking about WWE, MJF be the perfect person to do it. Yeah. Come out and cut a promo and take some shots at Cody going out the door. And if he ever comes back, there you have your re-entry fuel. So, somebody should get out there and just say something about it and let them get it out of their system so it doesn't take over the rest of the night.
Dan Lambert. He's probably going to be the one.
It could work. He's been
running them down anyway. So you can say,
exactly.
He goes, I can chase them all. They'll probably get cheered for that, but I guess MJF would be odd to me, Greg, because he's been talking about leaving. so who knows? He could be, the one to kind of say it. So, all right. So that, anything else? I mean, like I said, this is kind of what they give us. This is kind of their official preview. So I don't know anything else that's really scheduled as far as that's concerned. But 8 p.m. On TBS. Don't be a dummy like me and forget the channel when you go to look for it. So, real quick, let's do Rogue Energy, and then I got my last call for us this week, Greg, and then, of course, it'll be your call next week. So, let's do some Rogue Energy real quick. Nope. So obviously the last call I just kind of had Elimination Chamber thoughts, Greg. What have been maybe some cool moments you've thought about the Chamber matches? I'll go first, so then that way that gives you time to think. For me, it's all about Sasha and Bayley win the tag team titles. I think that was such a big moment for them, and just the pure emotion of those. And they made the most sense to win it. Like, they've been vying for, they've been vouching for it so much in the back. That's why I kind of like, man, if we could get them against, Lita and Trish. That'd be a really fun match. And then I think I'm all about the gimmicky stuff. We had the tag team titles defended there once, and was it the U.S. title defended there, I believe, or IC, whichever one of the secondary titles. And I thought that was a pretty fun match. But the tag team titles was a lot of fun too, because you had, like both tag team partners kind of in the pod, and one would get out or whatever. So I'm trying. I mean, obviously, it's hard to argue against the first one, with Shawn Michaels winning it and coming back. Even though, Greg, I always say, of all the wardrobe stuff that Shawn Michaels has had, that was the ugliest outfit he's ever had. Those brown tights with the blue, HBK logo. That one though. I mean, I'm trying to think. I mean, I feel like they just all kind of ran together, because that's probably the thing too. It's probably the Chamber has run out its gimmick. Like I could still get behind Hell in a Cell for the right feud, but the Chamber, I'm kind of like, it's run its course, and and we only need one of them. I feel like if we did one of them, they could let that one really have the moments. With two a night, it's so hard to like outdo each other because you're thinking about the other one or whatever. So, I guess I don't have any like pure standout moments from it. And I even owned the DVD, which came out, years ago, and now they've had 10 more of them. So now that's even outdated. But how about yourself, Greg? Do you think the gimmick's kind of outlived itself, or what are your thoughts on, Elimination Chamber as a whole?
Well, it has lost a lot of its luster for me, and a big part of it is the fact that it's in Saudi Arabia, because some of those huge moments that we're going to get in this match are going to be lost on the Saudi Arabian crowd. If we're still clamoring for Goldberg, you have to wonder how in touch they are. Yeah. I don't know how time warped their TV is, but they must be stuck on Nitro, because they keep wanting Goldberg to come back. Yeah, and that's kind of spoiling it for me. But there's some moments that are going to happen in this match that should be much, much bigger, being held in the States. Like, imagine if the Chamber opens with Lesnar and Riddle. Mm-hmm. That moment would be so huge here stateside, and in Saudi Arabia, people are going to be just waiting. Okay, what are they going to do? Yeah. Right. And it would have the biggest pop here in the States, because we all know the backstory. We all know the beef. We all know, what's going on with those two. And same thing with, when Lesnar and Lashley finally get in there and face off. Imagine if they were the first two to start. They won't be, but imagine if they were. So there's going to be a lot that's lost in translation, which has been my big issue with the Saudi cards. I mean, I get why you're doing it, but why not do like a glorified house show out there instead of a premium live event, and putting a legit pay-per-view like Elimination Chamber on the road to WrestleMania there. I'm sure you have to put X amount of shows in Saudi Arabia, but all the big ones, you leave here stateside. I mean, it's like the NFL say we're going to put these playoff games in Europe and Germany and Italy and places where they don't follow football as close as we do. It's kind of the same effect. There's going to be a bunch lost because the crowd is not as hyped into it, and we can feel that energy coming through the screen. It's when it's palpable when two guys get in the ring and all the history, and we really haven't seen them in the same ring at the same time, and you're sitting on the edge of your seat waiting for something to happen, and there's going to be a bunch lost in translation. That being said, the Chamber match itself is going to be a banger, I'm sure of it. But those little moments are what makes it so special, and without that crowd reaction, it's going to take away from it, and that bums me out for the performers themselves. Everybody who's in that chamber it bums me out for them. So I'm gonna be excited to watch it, and I'll be doing my part to support it and cheer them on as much as I can from here. But you feel like more of a 6-man in the cage, watching it play out because of that audience involvement.
Mm-hmm.
So that's my biggest issue with the chamber. I mean, here it feels better. It feels more right. But I think this is the last couple years that they put it in Saudi, and it's taken a lot off of it for me as far as how special it is, and feeling that vibration from the crowd, and it gets me more into it, makes it a more memorable match.
Yeah.
And I'm sure it makes it more special for the guys themselves and girls. So that's my big appeal to WWE is take the premium live events and keep them in the states where they belong, and just give Saudi big house shows, where you can play the storylines, but they're kind of inconsequential because they're just another piece of the formula that's going to go into the overall picture, instead of the big payoff that is going to reset the deck and tell us who's going to be matched against who going forward. Just too much on the line to be held overseas. So nothing against you, Saudi, but they need to keep those shows here. I'm how I feel about Goldberg. I'm done with him. I don't know why Saudi loves him so much, but it seems to be the scene of his biggest failures. I mean, I can't think of one good match Goldberg has had in Saudi Arabia. The Undertaker constantly talks about how much he hated that match. Him beating the Fiend when the Fiend was at the height of his powers out there in Saudi.
I like to forget that.
Yeah, it was brutal. I mean, nobody was hotter in all of wrestling than the Fiend, and he just goes down easy to Goldberg. I mean, why?
I would imagine Bray doesn't ever want to go back there, because he kind of had that horrible match with Seth too, that they both just just couldn't get going out the gates. So
true.
Here's my trivia question for you, Greg, just because I looked it up. Who do you think had the most wins in the chamber match? Do you want me to give you some choices?
Most wins. Now,
hopefully Wikipedia is right, but
I have to go with Triple H.
Correct, and one more.
I don't think Brock has been in that many.
He is no longer with WWE.
Oh wow! Okay. And
he won it last year. I could believe
last year's chamber. I don't even remember who won last year's chamber.
That was Daniel Bryan, because that's when he got the immediate match with Roman right after the chamber. Like Roman was going to face the winner, and a lot of people thought it'd be Jay, because Jay would just lay down for him. But Daniel Bryan won in 2021. He won in 2024, or no, 2020. Sorry, 2019. So that one was the WWE Championship. That must have been his Earth one. Remember, he had the made a tent because in that chamber match was AJ Styles, Jeff Hardy, Kofi Kingston, Randy Orton, and Samoa Joe. And then he also won in 2012 when he beat Big Show, Cody Rhodes, Santino, Great Khali, and Wade Barrett.
Wow.
And then Triple H won. So Triple H has won in 2003. So Triple H defeated Jericho, Goldberg, Kevin Nash, Randy Orton, and Shawn Michaels. So that would have been SummerSlam. Then Triple H also won the vacant one at New Year's Revolution, which was Batista,
Chris Benoit, Chris Jericho, Edge, and Orton. And Shawn Michaels was the guest referee. And then Triple H also beat it. Jericho, Jeff Hardy, Bradshaw, Shawn Michaels, and Umaga at No Way Out. Because remember, No Way Out used to have the chamber matches too. So
Yeah.
Lashley has won one, in case you forgot about that one. December to Dismember. Because that had
Jeez.
they had the weapons. Remember, each person had a weapon with them in the pod. So I think Edge has Edge has a couple wins. Jack Swagger has a win, Greg. If you didn't know that.
Holy crap.
Because Jack Swagger won. Remember, he was champion, world heavyweight champion. They defeated Jericho, Bryan, Kane, Mark Henry, and Randy Orton at 2013. So, but I was trying to remember. So the 1 year I talked about was the IC title. Ryback won that match, Greg.
Oh God.
And here's who he beat: Dolph Ziggler, King Barrett, Mark Henry, R-Truth, and Sheamus. So, and then we had the New Day defeat. Now the tag team was really fun because this was the New Day defeating Cesaro and Tyson Kidd, Los Matadores. Remember with Diego Fernando. We had the Ascension, we had the Lucha Dragons, and we had Primetime Players. Because I think that's when Kalisto did the Samurai del Sol off the cage. He was like perched up like this. So, and I think they did some moves off the pods. So yeah, but it has kind of lost some of its its luster. So yeah, but anyway, so Daniel Bryan and Triple H are the most wins at 3. So who would have thought Daniel Bryan? I mean, like you said, Triple H is pretty. Any record, Greg, I think Triple H is a default.
Right.
But anyway, so just a little trivia for you guys out there. So, all right, well, that's all I got. Tune in at 12 p.m. I guess we'll kind of talk over the weekend and see if, we could probably go live on Sunday. I don't have anything so far. I don't know what your Sunday is, but, if we need to go live at noon or 11, we can, and kind of recap it and maybe catch up on stuff. I'll be honest, Craig, I've not watched Vengeance Day yet. I need to get caught up on that. I was out at a play last night, so I did not get to see it. Did you watch Vengeance Day?
I did. I've just finished watching it a few hours ago. So it was decent. Nothing amazing, but it was decent. So I won't give you more spoilers than that.
Yeah, it sounds like NXT TakeOver will be WrestleMania weekend, Saturday at 11. So that's gonna be early call time, and then you'll still have Mania that night. So that's gonna be a lot of wrestling for some people who might see, might go to NXT, then go to WrestleMania, go to Mania that night. But
wow, I'm surprised Vince doesn't go the other way and put it on Friday so it runs right against Rampage.
Well, wasn't that what the new show is? The NXT Level Up, I believe, is going to start airing at 10. Because have you seen that? Like, some people put out pictures that there's a new show called NXT Level Up. I think that's taking the place of 205 Live. And that will air at 10 p.m. Is what I've seen. Yeah, So I guess they must not have announced anything for it. But I've seen some pictures show up that there's a new NXT show called Level Up. With Quinn McKay, who I've seen as an announcer type, that she's really trying to get her name out there. I think she was with Impact for a little bit. So I think she's kind of involved with that. And then I think it's still Vic Joseph and Wade Barrett, probably for the time being, until they, get whoever. But it sounds like it'll be an hour, just maybe 205 Live-ish type show. Maybe some lower guys like Dante Chen and guys like that aren't necessarily on NXT, but are, so more wrestling for us to catch up on, Greg.
Yeah.
We might have to mix.
That's what we asked for.
And just like we don't even recap NXT UK or Impact, like I mean, yeah, we'd
Right.
have
The UK is probably the best NXT product there is right now.
yeah,
And
we'd have a 3-hour, 4-hour show if we. I don't know. I kind of like this thing. I like this way that we do it. You know, I don't know. We might have to toy around with maybe doing like a Wednesday, maybe Saturday, Sunday show. I don't know.
yeah.
That might break it up a little bit. You know, I don't know. It's just something to toy around with. I don't want to take too much of our lives, but you know, committing to 2 days. You know, I think committing to 1 day is nice because I know that that Saturday is set. So, but just an idea because I do kind of like doing the midweek to kind of get recapped on Raw and NXT and maybe building up for the week later. But might think something to think about for WrestleMania season, all that. So, but good stuff in the works for BW Sports 1 as always. Just go check all their shows. I believe right after us is going to be the Dukes of Football, I believe, or State of Basketball. There was one of the two. I couldn't remember which one I saw, but I think it's Dukes of Football, which is catching up on the Super Bowl and the Combine, which is a month away, I believe, or 2 months away, and then free agency is a month away. So, because the NFL doesn't rest, and then I believe there's even USFL taking place.
Yeah, it's actually going to happen this year.
So, and then XFL will be back next year with The Rock at the helm.
The Rock is the owner. Yep.
Yeah. So
that'll be interesting.
By the way, I saw some hate for The Rock opening up the Super Bowl, and I actually loved it, but that's because I'm a wrestling fan. So.
Right, I did too. That was very unexpected.
I mean, it was football players. There was a couple of football players tweeting out they're like, why the F is he doing this? I'm like, because it's The Rock, and he can open up anything. Like, he could open up the Oscars. Like he could open up any award show and get you those goosebumps about it. So, yeah. Anyways,
I know he could put on pads and knock out anybody on the field. So why not put that guy?
He did play. So he was right behind. He was on the same team as Warren Sapp, I believe. Which
Yep. At the U.
Who knows if he would have been able to keep his career? Like, who knows what that team could have been like with The Rock out there and Warren Sapp. So, alrighty. Well, catch us like we said. We'll keep you guys posted. No show Saturday, maybe a recap show Sunday. Kind of get caught up on stuff, and we're getting into WrestleMania season. And this Cody, I started to say Cody knows news. Cody Rhodes news is really going to be what's going to happen, Greg? He's going to sign somewhere tomorrow, and then we'll have to wait to talk about it till Saturday. Or something. But anyways, so all right, I kept scrolling Twitter because Twitter. We could just break it right now, but come on, Cody, sign. Let us know where you're going to be. So,
yep, something's going to happen. I have a feeling too. Yeah.
There's too many smoke and mirrors. Yeah. His old song.
And flaming tables.
Oh, his song was Smoke and Mirrors.
That's right. Yep.
Song. Yeah, I can't.
I forgot about that.
But that was one of my favorite ones. Anyways, so there's a good topic. What are the best entrance themes? We could definitely tackle that one week. So, alrighty. Well, have a good rest of your night, Greg, and we'll talk to you next week, or text to you Sunday. Talk to you next week.
All right, I'll be around Sunday if you want to do that recap, and looking forward to some fun stuff. So, you have a good one until I see you.
See ya.